I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday Night Podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here via Zoom with my partner, Dan Youngblood, and tonight, Dan, we've got a guest, Colorado City softball coach, Kara LeLeux.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to Coach LeLeux. Her team's coming off a big series win over Anson, in which it lost game one. The Lady Tigers rallied for a big win in game one, and then Colorado City bounced back and won games 2 and 3, including overcoming a 4-0 deficit in that deciding third game. So she's got her team in the region finals. They're going to play a really good Stanford team with an opportunity to go to state. So it's exciting time for Coach LeLeux. It's an exciting time for Colorado City softball. And it's going to be fun talking to her about all these things now that we've got her on the podcast.
All right, before we bring Coach LeLeux on, we're going to take a look at last week's baseball and softball playoff action. Before we do that, we want to thank our primary sponsor, Capital Farm Credit, with offices all over Texas, including Stanford and Abilene. Buy your own slice of Texas with Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. And with that, we're going to jump into last week's action. Dan, we have to say goodbye to 3 of our softball teams. We have to say goodbye to Cooper. We have to say goodbye to Eula. And we have to say goodbye to Anson. That leaves us with 2 teams and only 2 teams, Stanford and Sea City, who face off this week.
Exactly. Yeah, and we'll start just at the highest classification at Class 5A, where we did lose Cooper last week. They had a really good come-from-behind win in game 1 to win that one 8-6. And then they came back the following day and just had a rough day. Alito played really well. Cooper, I'm sure, would tell you they didn't play as well as they could, and they lost 15-2 and 10-0 to end a really, really good season in kind of a disappointing way. But to me, that doesn't diminish the season that Cooper had. This was a really important season that Cooper did have. This was their deepest playoff run since 1986. So you're talking about a quarter century. This is the most successful Cooper softball team. And I think the most exciting thing is that Cooper has a lot of its team back next year. They lose 3 starters from their lineup, and that's it. They return all 3 of their pitchers. They return the other 6 hitters from their lineup. So it's going to be a fun time in Cooper. And then you had the Abilene High and Wiley both went 3 rounds. So I think Abilene softball is going to be a lot of fun to watch in the coming years.
And it was a fun Cooper ball club. I mean, they brought fun back to CHS and softball. They really did.
Yeah, definitely. And a big part of that was with that lineup. This was a team that could score in bunches. They had a ton of home runs. They had 22 long balls in their first 6 playoff games going into that Alito series. So this is a team that could really, really hit the ball. And it was, like you said, a fun team to watch, a team that had fun playing. And I think that this was kind of a foundational year for them. This is a team that's going to build on what they did this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see kind of where they go in the coming years with just the program that Coach Stacey Herring has built there. It's been fun to watch, and I think will be for years to come. But like we said, they're not the only team we lost. We also lost Anson, who lost to Sea City, and we'll be talking more about that series with Coach LeLeux. And then you got to see Eula, who was playing for a chance to go to state, lost to Borden County in a good game. So what did you see from that Eula squad?
No, it was a competitive ball game. It was a 1-game regional championship. Borden County wanted a 1-gamer. They've been having a lot of success with 1-gamers, and that's what they went for. And Eula had a difficult time getting around on Rexy Sanders, the Borden County pitcher, until late in the ball game. They fell 6-3. They started getting around on her late, but it was too little, too late. They scored all 3 of the runs in the last couple of innings. It ended up losing on the final play was a pass ball at the plate. With a relay from the catcher to Sanders at the plate, applying the tag for the final out of the ball game. Eula did put a scare in them. They loaded the bases there in the final inning with a couple of outs. They had a shot at coming back, but it was too little too late, as they said.
Yeah, and obviously that's tough. But that was another team that had a great season. Eula had a fantastic softball season. This team was a really special bunch that did a lot of really special things throughout the year. That's why I think it's impressive what Borden County was able to do to that lineup, because Eula had come in scoring a lot of runs. So just a really a tough way to end. Anytime you lose in a 1-game playoff, I think that's tough, just because it's a do or die situation, and you don't really get that chance to maybe play in a series. But again, they played well. They fought to the end, and that's really all you can ask. And that was I think a fitting at least effort and to end what I thought was a really strong season for this Eula club. And the one series we do have still going in softball is a really big one. It's a Region 1-2A championship series between Stanford 28-5, Colorado City 26-9. The entire series will be played at Abilene Christian University's Polly Wells Field. Game 1 set for 5 p.m. Thursday, followed by Game 2 at 10 a.m. Saturday, and then Game 3, if necessary, will follow that one. But this is obviously a huge series for both programs, and we're going to be talking to Coach LeLeux a lot about that one here in a little bit. But this is going to be exciting. There are two teams that are playing well coming into this one. I think Stanford is the clear favorite based on what they've done this season, but don't count this Colorado City team out. This is a team that can really hit the ball, and they're going to give a really strong effort. So that's going to be a fun series.
All right, now we're going to jump over to baseball, and we'll start at the Class 5A level, where Wiley handed Canyon Randall a 2-game sweep, won Game 1 9-1, and then took Game 2 by the mercy rule 17-7 up at Lubbock Cooper High School. I was on hand for that, and I will say this: when the wind is blowing out at Lubbock Cooper, it is anybody's ball game. I'm telling you, that's a tough place to play when the wind gets up. Routine fly ball can be sent out of the ballpark. It's tough, and it proved that tough. I mean, there were over 30 base hits in that ball game in 5 innings. 5 innings took 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and that's a Wiley team that has pitched really well all season long. So if they're getting up 7 runs, you probably expect there to be some sort of external factors that kind of contribute to that. But I think the impressive part is that they pounded out over 20 hits and scored 17 runs. I mean, this is an offense that has that capability. They haven't always been consistently where they've been able to put up those types of run production, but a really strong series for them. I thought that this Randall series would be closer than it was. I thought that Randall would put up more of a fight than they did. But Wiley just came out and played really well. Like you said, 9-1 in Game 1, wasn't really close. Brooks Gay pitched a great game. Riley Hood had a monster game at the plate. And then in Game 2, you have that kind of wind game where the ball's flying, and Wiley, again, took care of business to take care of that one in 5. So this Wiley team's playing really well. They're going to run into a really good Aledo team, a 27-9-2 Aledo team this week. In a series that starts out in Cleburne, comes back to Abilene for Game 2, and then goes back to Cleburne if necessary on Saturdays. But I like the way this Wiley team's playing. This is a motivated team. It's a very senior-driven team. These guys don't want their season to end, so it's going to be fun to see what they can do against this Aledo club, because these are 2 very good baseball teams playing very well.
All right, dropping down to Class 4A, Dan, the Stephenville Yellow Jackets eliminated Graham. That's a good Graham team that they knocked off, winning Game 1 4-3, and then knocking them off in Game 2 3-0. They advanced, and they will face El Paso Riverside at Midland College. That series gets underway at 6 p.m. on Friday, and it'll pick up at 11 a.m. on Saturday, with Game 3, if needed, 30 minutes after that. All of these are at Midland College.
Yeah, and that Graham team was a very good baseball team. We knew this was going to be a really good competitive series, and it was. Stephenville just outplayed them. They outdueled them in Game 1. They won in a walk-off fashion, scoring 2 runs in the final inning to win that one 4-3. And then in Game 2, just a great pitching performance. I mean, anytime you shut down a team of Graham's caliber, you've pitched really well. But that's something Stephenville's done all year long. This is a team I got to see against Vernon early in the playoffs. It's a team with deep with pitching, a team that can really string together rallies offensively. I like this team, and obviously they're going up against a good El Paso Riverside team this week. Anytime you're playing in the 4th round, you'd expect to be playing a good team. But at this point, I'm not betting against the Stephenville team. I really like what they're doing.
All right, now we're going to drop down to Class 3A. Last week in the regional quarterfinals, Brock eliminated Wall, meeting them for the 4th straight season in postseason play. And that's excluding last year, of course, because of the COVID lockdown. But 4 straight years, those ball clubs have met. And actually, this is the earliest time that they've met in the regional quarters. They usually meet even deeper. But Brock won that series 2-1, taking the finale on Saturday 5-2 over at Abilene Christian. They will advance to face Littlefield, and that will get underway at ACU 7 p.m. on Thursday. And then also we had a 1-gamer, Jim Ned against Early, and we were talking about this last week. Early did the right thing. They took that 1-game shot at Jim Ned and almost pulled it off. Jim Ned held on to beat him 3-2. But Jim Ned, I'm telling you, they had to sweat it out. Early had the bases loaded there in the last inning and nearly pulled off the upset.
Yeah, and I think we've been talking all year long that in this Region 1-3A bracket, we both like Brock and Jim Ned as potential region champions. So I think both of us are kind of looking forward to, and we may get that opportunity to see those 2 teams meet in a region final. But to me, a big part of the story last week was what the teams that didn't advance did. Wall goes and takes a game from Brock, which the way Brock was playing going into that, that's a really big accomplishment to take this Brock team 3 games. And it was a really competitive series. Wall really gave Brock all they wanted. And you mentioned early losing 3-2 to Jim Ned. This is a young team for the most part. This is a team that plays a lot of sophomores, and to go in there and give Jim Ned all they wanted, like you said, that's a really I think something they can really build on going forward. It's a real confidence booster for them. This is going to be a very, very tough team next year, and it's going to be fun to watch. It's only going to make this Region 1 bracket even tougher.
One thing worth mentioning about that early Jim Ned game, Blaine Palmer came out of the bullpen for Tate Yardley, who pitched a great ball game. Then he finally lost his command. You had some walks, gave up a couple of hits. They score a couple of runs, make it 3-2. The bases are loaded with 2 out, and they bring in Blaine Palmer. And I'll tell you what, how's this for pressure? Bases loaded, 2 out, and if he makes one mistake, at best it's a tie ball game. At worst, it's a lost ball game. There's a ton of pressure on that kid. He delivers a strikeout in 3 pitches.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that a lot of times when you play a 1-game playoff, you don't really think that accentuates the pitching depth, but in this case it did, because they had 2 guys who are basically aces that they can, really more than that. They have 3 or 4 that they can throw that are really strong pitchers. In this case, Blaine Palmer follows Yardley and gets the job done. But like I said, I think this is obviously a big win for Jim Ned to advance and to keep their hopes of a state tournament appearance and those sorts of things alive. But I think this is a big moment for that early team too, to just to see what they can do, because this is a Jim Ned team that has not lost all year, and early put the fear in them. So a really good. We thought it'd be a good game, and it was. It definitely delivered on the entertainment factor.
Jim Ned advances to face Shallow Water. That's a 31-5 Shallow Water team. Jim Ned comes in at 30-1 on the season, and that series will get underway at 7 p.m. Thursday at Christensen Stadium in Midland. It'll pick up again on Saturday at noon, with Game 3, if needed, coming at 5 o'clock on Saturday. And with that, we're going to drop down to Class 2A, where, Dan, we still got a couple of ball clubs still alive. We got Albany and Anson still marching on. They're both reaching the regional semifinals. Albany eliminated Hawley last week in a 2-game sweep, 4-0 and 6-2. And then we've got Anson, who eliminated Hamilton in a couple of 1-run ball games, beating Hamilton 1-0 and 3-2, and really a tough 2-game series. Anson will advance to face Stinnett West, Texas. That will be in Littlefield. The entire series will be played there. Game 1 will open at 5 p.m. on Friday. Game 2 will be at 1 p.m. on Saturday, with Game 3 following 30 minutes after that, if needed. Albany will advance to face New Deal, and that would be at beautiful Moffett Stadium in Snyder. That will get underway at 2 p.m. on Thursday, with Game 2 coming 30 minutes after that. So 2 games on Thursday at Moffett Field, and if needed, the series will pick up again on Saturday at 1 p.m. again in Snyder.
And in looking at that 2A action, I think that we had the 2 teams that we expected to advance, Albany beating Hawley, their district rival, and then Anson beating a good Hamilton team to advance. But I think the one thing that kind of struck me a little bit was really the fight that Hawley put up. This was a Hawley team that really struggled to start the season and just got better and better as the season went on, made it to the 3rd round of the playoffs, and gave Albany a couple of games. They struggled to hit the Albany pitching enough to put together kind of sustained offense, but in both games, they kind of hung around and gave themselves opportunities. So a really nice job by Coach Jamie Sego's team. And one thing I found interesting after that first game, where Cade Neve no-hit the Bearcats, we kind of talked to him about playing a district opponent, and he was saying this is a different Hawley team than the one we faced in district play. And I think he was right. I think that's a big credit to this Hawley team and just the improvement they made. So we say goodbye to them, but now we got a chance to see what Albany and Anson can do. And I know that you and I would love to see an Albany-Anson region final, and they're going to get an opportunity to play for that this week.
Yeah, that would be a heated series. Those are 2 good ball clubs, and they really get after it when they face each other. That would just plain be fun if it happened.
Yeah. And as a baseball fan, if you like good pitching, there would be a ton of it in that series. You would get some really good pitching matchups. As Class 2A baseball goes, that would be a very well-played series. So I'm hoping we get it. My fingers are crossed. I'm pulling for it.
All right, now we're going to drop down to Class 1A, and Dan, we've got another ball club still alive at the Class 1A level, and we usually do, playing for a regional championship. We've got Westbrook facing Nazareth. That's going to get underway at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday at Wolford Friendship. Game 2 will be 6:30 Friday. Game 3, 6:30 Saturday. So 3 straight trips up there if it goes 3 games.
Yeah, and they earned that opportunity with a series sweep against Baird. Had to play a really tightly contested game one, won that one 7-6, and then run ruled them in game two, 12-2. But this Westbrook team has really answered all of the challenges so far in the playoffs. This is a team that's played really well. Beat a solid Cross Plains team in the region quarterfinals to earn their game against Baird. Took care of Baird, and now they're going to get to play a Nazareth team that's 16-1. So this is going to be their biggest challenge to date, certainly. But this Westbrook team that's playing with a lot of confidence. This is a team that's really in every sport this season. You look at football, you look at boys basketball.
Yes.
They've had really banner seasons in every sport this year, and baseball's just kind of continuing that trend.
They made some noise in track also. So it's been a great 2021 for the Westbrook Wildcats. Maybe their best overall athletic season ever. If not, they're going to have a tough time digging one up to top it.
Yeah, I would think it would almost have to be. And honestly, I can't think of a more fitting way to end such a strong season than if this Westbrook team can find a way to earn a state berth. I think that would be such a huge deal for this program. It'd be a lot of fun to see.
Absolutely. And with that, it's just about time to bring on Colorado City softball coach Kara LeLeux. But before we do that, we need to thank our sponsors. Obviously, first and foremost, Capital Farm Credit, who brings you these Wednesday night podcasts free of charge throughout the school year. Also, for the love of the game broadcasting, our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of KLAX 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, Classic Country 1330 AM out of Graham, KWKQ 94.7 FM out of Graham, KROO 1430 out of Breckenridge. That is an AM station. And we got KWVY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is for the love of the game broadcasting. Also, Phil Hill of the Abilene Realtors Group, big supporter of local athletics. If you're in the market, give him a shout at 325-669-5153 or go to his website at philhillproperties.com. And finally, Jack's Road Boring out of Snyder. Dirt sales and services with service and experience you can count on. Larry Green is the man to call out there. Give him a shout at 325-575-8004. That's Jack's Road Boring in Snyder. And with that, Dan, it is time to bring on Coach LeLeux. And her ball club is hitting, I'll tell you what, they're hitting their stride. Over the last 3 weeks, that ball club has played about as well as any softball team we've got.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got a lot to talk to her about. So let's go ahead and get her on.
And joining us now via Zoom, Colorado City softball coach Kara LeLeux. Coach, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, glad to be here.
Coach, first off, tell us about this gutsy performance from your ball club coming from a game down against Anson to win and advance.
It was a good time. Definitely, it was fun as a coach to get to be a part of that and watch the girls compete and fight the way they did. Going into it, after losing game one, we were talking to the girls and we were like, look, Anson did this to Holly the week before. So, you can go in and be defeated in game two, or you can come out and prepare to be playing 2 games on Saturday. And, there's nothing says that we can't go in and beat them, 2 games in a row. We've beat them before this season. So they're definitely a beatable team for us. We just have to go in with the right mindset. We had that game one. We just let it slip through our fingers there at the end, and it was definitely a mentality thing. And I think going in to Saturday, the girls knew, like, hey, we got this. We know that we lost that game one ourselves, and we were going to get the job done and play 2 games. So they just kept fighting. They never gave up, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of as a coach.
And Coach, I got to be out there for the second day of that series against Anson, and one of the things that struck me was that's probably about as big a crowd as I've ever seen for a softball game at that Wiley ball field. So a lot of support both ways. Just talk a little about the support y'all have gotten from y'all's community. It seems like that they've really rallied around this team.
For sure. That's the most people I've seen being a part of the program at our games. I think there was a lot of ACU. I just think ACU has the seating capacity to hold it, so it might not have looked as big. But Wiley, it was like people were everywhere. There were people all in the stands, all down the sidelines. You even looked in the outfield, and there were people out there. So it was a lot of fun to get the crowds behind both teams. You had both teams kind of like chattering to one another, definitely supporting their group of girls. So the community's just been really great. They've rallied around us as we continue to work on throughout the season. People have stepped up and just like supported us, been willing to like donate meals for like team nights and stuff. So it's been great to be a part of. The community wants something to support, and I'm glad that the softball program can be a part of like bringing the community together, especially after, COVID and stuff like that. It's been a good time, and everyone's just been great, willing to support, coming out and cheering us on. And I know they're excited about being at ACU again. So we're thankful for the community for sure.
All right, Coach, not only are you going to be about to face one of the best pitchers in Class 2A, but you're about to face one of the best pitchers in all of Texas at any classification in Stanford Citlali Gutierrez. I've been, covering fast pitch softball in the Big Country for 15 years, and if she's not the best pitcher I've seen, she's one of the top two. But if I know you guys, if I know you and I know Colorado City, you're looking forward to the challenge.
For sure. I mean, going into the game, we're definitely the underdogs. So we're just going in with the mentality of like, look, we're going to take this one pitch at a time. We can't go in thinking too far ahead. So we're just focusing one pitch at a time and doing your job in that situation. Like, you're going to fail at some point. The softball is a game of failure. So if there's anything that we can teach the girls in this challenge, is like, look, you're going to fail, but how are you going to react to that failure? So we're just going in with the mindset of like, I've got to get the job done every single pitch. And if I don't get the job done, that's okay. We've still got 7 innings to play ball, regardless. And we still got 2 more games. So we're not going in with that defeated mentality. Like, we're going to look at the task at hand and get the job done, and do what I can do to help my team. If I don't get the job done at bat, then I'm just going to go play defense. So we're looking at it as a teaching moment. Anything can happen. The game of softball doesn't know who's supposed to win. So we're just going in with the mentality of like, we're going to get the job done, focus one pitch at a time, not look too far ahead, and not be defeated before we step into the box. So.
And obviously, Citlali gets a lot of attention, and deservedly so. She's been fantastic. But that's a team, and just as a whole, that does a lot of things well. They've hit the ball really well throughout the playoffs. They field well behind her when they need to. What are kind of your impressions just of this Stanford team as a whole from what you've seen?
So I've only watched it twice, the games twice, or heard their team play twice. So I haven't really seen their defense work. I've only seen a few girls put the ball in play. I mean, when I watched Cahoma's game, obviously Cahoma was a little bit came out on top on that game. Cahoma got the job done. They didn't hit well throughout the whole game, but they hit well in an inning, and it worked out for them, and they played well on defense. But when I watched another game, I didn't get to really see the defense work, but I know that they can hit the ball. They were putting the ball in play well against Forsan. So our defense just needs to step up behind our pitchers and get the job done. We can't let them get too far ahead of us, because if we let them get too many runs, we've got to get the job done on offense. So we're focusing on like being tough on defense, getting the job done at hand, and just getting back to the offensive side to get to the plate and try to score some runs.
Coach, there's a big plus in this. I mean, if you're facing Stanford here, the way I see it anyway, there's a big plus, because if you manage to beat them, you get past them and Citlali Gutierrez, nobody the rest of the way is going to offer any more than what she's offering you. There's not going to be a pitcher that could possibly outmatch or intimidate you.
For sure. I mean, she's going to be it's going to be a mental game going in, not letting the name defeat us before we get into the box. And that goes with anything. That doesn't just go with the pitcher. That goes with anybody that you're facing. In the past for our program, it's been like the Brock name. Like, don't let the Brock name defeat you before we go into the game. So same concept here. We can't let just the name and her status defeat us before we get into the box. She's going to be a good pitcher. She's going to bring the challenge to us. And we've got to be willing to face that challenge and look at the task at hand. We don't want to focus too far ahead. But if we are successful in this moment and in these games, it's definitely a big boost to go on to state, because she is going to be, I mean, she's leading the Texas and like everything. So it'll definitely be a good little challenge. And if we do end up being successful, a good boost going into next week.
And I got to see y'all play a couple of years ago. The last time that we had a playoff run with obviously COVID shut it down last year. Got to see y'all against early in that playoff series over at
Mhm.
ACU 2 years ago. And you could kind of tell then that this was a good young nucleus that if it could stick together and continue to progress, it was going to have a chance to be really good. What's it been like as the coach just watching this team grow from there?
Yeah, I mean, my second year, we were definitely young. I lost a big class my first year. So going to that second year, the girls fought hard, and that early loss, I think um, it was a learning opportunity. The girls fought. I mean, we went, I don't remember how many innings we went in that first game, and ended up losing it, and then came back the next day, and both teams performed so well. Like it was a 2-1 ball game. But I think that was just a little bit of motivation for them. Set a little fire under them. We made some mistakes in both games, and I think the young players that made those mistakes learned from them. They didn't let them defeat their mentality and defeat their work ethic. They just came back last year and they started working hard, and they worked hard in the off season. Unfortunately, COVID shut us down. We were doing pretty well last year, but I think seeing them grow throughout these last 3 years has been awesome. They've taken every opportunity, every failure, and learned from it, and we're just excited to keep working. And we're going to lose a few seniors this year, but we still got a good group, a good core group coming back next year as well.
Coach, talk about your pitching depth. You've got two reliable starters in Rivera and Johnson, and that's a nice luxury to have.
Yes, for sure. I mean, any coach to have one good pitcher is a blessing, but to have two, um, like you can't ask for anything better as a coach. So that's definitely helped, um, been part of our success. I mean, Riley Johnson, her freshman year was when we played early, and I think having Casey here has definitely taken some pressure off of Riley and allowed her to perform to her ability, and knowing like, hey, if I'm not having a good day on the mound, I've got somebody else to pick me up. And same thing goes for Casey. If Casey's not having a good day, she knows she can fall back on Riley. They both can play defense and they both can hit the ball. So it's just definitely helped the mentality of like, look, I don't have to do it all on my own. I can rely, if I am having a bad day on the mound, I have somebody else to come in and step up and do just as well as I can do on the mound and get the job done. So definitely a blessing. I can't um, I don't know, like having two pitchers, it's a blessing. It's been nice to have, and being able to rotate them off. And especially these 3-game series, having two pitchers has been nice. You can play one in game one and then start the other one in game two. Um, so it's been good.
And when you mentioned Casey and kind of the impact she's made, it just seems like obviously she's kind of stepped in there and become an impact player really in all phases of the game. Just how important has that been to this run into this season?
Oh, for sure. I mean, she plays well beyond her years. She's only a sophomore, but she plays like a veteran, like a senior. Um, she can hit well. She started off the season just dominating at the plate, and then on the mound, I've seen her grow so much from day one of this season to now. Just her maturity on the mound, being able to make mistakes. Her defense makes mistakes behind her, but she doesn't let it fluster her. She just gets the ball back, picks them up, and then goes to work. And then she freaking can play a solid defense at third base. So she just works hard. She comes in, has a good attitude, lifts up her teammates, is a good teammate, and I think that's kind of where she thrives. Is she's a good teammate around her. Yes, she's a good player, but she's just a good human being and a teammate to her fellow teammates, and just picks them up when they're down and doesn't let things fluster her. So she plays like a veteran. You wouldn't guess watching her that she was a sophomore. You would think she's more of a senior. So she's been a big catalyst to this team. So.
And another thing that struck me just watching y'all play is just the depth of your lineup, really the length of your lineup. When I mean, there's no holes in it, so you can really put together big rallies at any given time because 1 through 9 you've got girls that can go up there and do their job. Just how nice as a coach is that to have?
For sure. I mean, sometimes you have teams and lineups that where you get to a certain part and you're like, ooh, gosh, we don't want these people up and when the game's on the line. But really, I mean, everyone 1 through 9 has been performing, and it doesn't matter if it's the top of the lineup or the bottom half of the lineup. Like they're going to get on base and people are going to come around and score them and get the job done. So Definitely in my 4 years here, this has been a pretty solid group 1 through 9. And I've got people on the bench that I can bring in at any time if someone is having a bad day at the plate. I know that I've got some girls on the bench that can come in and get the job done as well. So they all like hitting, they all enjoy it, and they take it serious. And they know that they're not trying to go up there and just hit a home run. They're trying to do their job and score the runners, or there's no one on, get on base. Mallory Kern does a great job with that. Like, that girl is our number one hitter, our first hitter, and she is just very consistent about getting on and starting everything off for the game. And she has definitely helped our team. I think the morale of our team by starting off in that one position, just letting everybody else know, like, hey, you can get it done. If I can get it done, you can get it done. And she's very good about going into the dugout and saying, like, hey, this is what I saw. So be ready for it. So we got a good core group of hitters, and every single one of them can get the job done that they need to.
Coach, talk about the return of Mia Monroe at shortstop and the important role she's played for your ball club.
Yeah, for sure. So Mia's one of those kids that has grown so much from her freshman year. She started off on varsity as a freshman. So we knew going into the season that she was going to play a big role. She's played our shortstop since her freshman year and done well. So when that knee injury happened over the summer, we were definitely kind of worried, but she worked her butt off, and she did everything that the doctors asked her to get returned back to the field. And she's come back strong. She's given it everything she's got. Every day she's asking for more reps, wanting to work on different situations that maybe didn't go well in the games on defense the day before. And she's just been a good leader, a good just role model on the field for, if someone's having a bad game, she's going to pick them up and she's going to get the job done. I mean, I've seen games this year where she's gotten all 3 outs in the inning. She's just a workhorse. She wants the ball. She wants the ball to be hit to her, and she's going to do everything she can to make the play. And she's just got a good attitude, a good mentality of like wanting to go to work and getting the job done and being aggressive about it. So definitely would not be as successful on defense without her. So she has definitely stepped up this year, regardless of the challenges that she's been handed and dealt with them with grace and come back stronger. So we're glad to have her out there.
Coach, it seems to me that you've built momentum over the last 3 weeks, and you're playing maybe your best ball of the year. That's my opinion. Can you talk a little bit about that? Are you peaking at the right time here?
For sure. I definitely think we're peaking at the right time. I think everyone on offense is starting to get hits in timely fashions and hits when they need to, and they're making adjustments. Maybe if they weren't successful the time before. Base running, we're becoming more aggressive on the base path and taking advantage of what the defense is giving us. So that has helped. And then defensively, I mean, we're making plays that if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year if we would have made some of the plays that we're making, I would have told you no. But we're starting to, everyone on the field is starting to get comfortable with where they are on defense and in making the big plays and knowing, like, if my pitcher's going to war for me, I'm going to go to war for them. So if the ball's hit anywhere close to me, I'm going to try to make the play, and I'm going to do the best I can. And they are definitely peaking at the right moment. So can't complain about that. Happy about that. And we're just playing some good ball, not only on offense, but on defense as well.
All right, Coach, you're in, I guess, a little bit of a unique situation in that not all softball coaches have their athletic director and football coach coaching first base for them and working right alongside with them. I guess, what has that experience been like, and what is it like to work with Coach Gainey so closely with your team?
He has been such a blessing. The girls absolutely love him. And I think that's been another little part of our success. He doesn't want to admit it, but the girls just love having him around. They love joking around with him. They call him Granddad. He's going to be so mad that I told everybody that, but they call him Granddad, and everybody just loves him. He's just saying, it's great. No. Like, Granddad, like, just listen to it. You'll hear it.
What I'm going to call him from now on.
Yeah, he's going to hate me and I'm going to die, but everybody just loves him. And he's just been a calming force. Sometimes when I get all frustrated and it just want to, like, yell at the girls, he's like, it's okay, Kara. Like, it's going to be fine. I'm like, you're right. And he's just been doing this so long. He's got so much knowledge. He knows softball. Like, it's not like he's just, like, doesn't know softball. Like, he's always helped me in the past before my assistants would get out of basketball. He knows softball, but he just knows so much more about like how to handle different situations. So he's been a blessing to me about, just keeping a calm head. Like, you're young, you don't have to just yell at them. Like, it's gonna be fine. They're gonna get through this. And the girls absolutely love him. They want him out there. If he's at team dinner, they are so excited. If he walks in the door, they're like, Grandin! Like, they just love him, and they want him out there. They're always like, when's Grandin coming? Why isn't Grandin here? So he's been a good, just, I guess, a morale booster for the team for sure.
Well, dude has got this dry sense of humor. Now, he can make you laugh with a straight face. He's just straight face, he'll make you laugh. So.
Yeah, you're like, are you serious? Or like, was that a joke? Because I'm not sure, but he's awesome, and we love having him a part of the team. So he's been a huge part of our success.
Okay. And just looking kind of a little more broadly at the area and really the big country area, it seems like in the past 3 or 4 years, you've kind of seen a wider maybe depth of teams that have been capable of making deep runs. It seems like softball in this area, to me at least, has really improved over the last probably five or so years. What have you seen just in terms of kind of the quality and the state of big country softball the last several years?
I completely agree with that, because if you would have asked me moving out here, like when I started going to Hardin-Simmons, I wouldn't have thought like softball was just huge in this area. But as I've coached these last 4 years, I mean, the teams around us are just like, they're wanting to compete. Like, you look at Coahoma and Fort Sand in our district, and then you go closer to Abilene and Anson and Hawley and all those teams. They're starting to get some athletes in their programs. And I think helping like Abilene growing and the Midland area growing, Lubbock area growing, has helped softball expand in these areas. And obviously it's expanding all over the United States. But I think just different organizations are starting to get softball out in this area, and they're starting to grow, and girls are starting to learn the game. And we've got some athletes. I mean, you look at all the pictures from, Anson and Holly and our group of girls, and then Cohoma's group and Fort Sand. I mean, you've got some pictures, and we can play ball. We can compete with the best of them. So I think even in the 4 years that I've been in Sioux City, softball has grown, and we're competing. So I definitely see that growth, especially from the time when I started at Hardin-Simmons to now. It has grown tremendously out in this area. So it's fun to see. It's exciting.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And we'll be obviously keeping an eye on you guys for the rest of the way.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And that was Colorado City softball coach Kara LeLeux. They've got about as big a challenge this week, Dan, as in my opinion, you can have at the 2A level. The bright side of that is, if they overcome this challenge, they're not going to face anybody tougher. They are not going to face, especially in the circle, than Citlali Gutierrez. So if you're going to have to face them anyway, so get it over with now.
Yeah. I mean, this is a big opportunity for them. It is a major challenge when you look at just what Stanford has done throughout the season, particularly throughout this playoff run. Colorado City does hit the ball very, very well, but so did Fort Sand, and Stanford kind of rolled through them last week. So it's going to be a very stiff challenge for this Colorado City team. But like you said, regardless of what happens, this has been a remarkably successful season for this squad, and it's going to be fun to see. It's going to be fun to watch this series and see if they can find a way to get some girls on base and get them around against Citlali, because not many teams have been able to accomplish that.
And that's just about, we're going to wrap it up for the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we have 3 separate subscription packages here at BigCountryPreps.com. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock the price down to $3 a month. That's $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
And we'd also like to remind you that if you ever see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, it is available for just $7. You can click on that small shopping cart icon to the bottom right, follow the prompt, and purchase as many of those as you would like. But scrolling through the site, you'll see that we take a whole lot of photos. I think we had 8 or 9 galleries up just from last week's action. It's something we enjoy doing, and it's something we take a lot of pride in here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.